Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Giant Size X-Men Nightcrawler, issue number screw you, because that's exactly what happened to us in this book. I am genuinely mad at this really good story. What does that mean? Stick around. I'm promising I'm going to explain that in exasperating detail. Let's get talking about who made this story, and then we'll talk about everything afterwards. Jonathan Hickman does the story in words. Alan Davis does the story in art. I like that Hickman allows, the story is also being told by the artist. I love that. It's one of the many good things about Jonathan Hickman. Carlos Lopez does the color art. VC's Clayton Cowles does the letters. Tom Mueller does the design. Alan Davis and Edgar Delgado does the cover art. And Ben Caldwell does the variant cover. Production is done by Nick Russell. And this story is called Haunted Mansion, X-Men created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Okay, so the main X-Men featured in this are Eye-Boy, Illyana Rasputin, Cypher, Nightcrawler, and Lockheed. And literally the least important character, the only character in this entire book that is 100% replaceable with any other character that you want, as long as they've got the X gene. In fact, honestly, Captain America could have showed up and taken the place of Nightcrawler in this book. Anybody could have replaced Nightcrawler in this book. Yet the book is called Giant Size X-Men Nightcrawler. That's messed up. That's messed up. Basically, some things have been trying to come in through the X gate that is in, the Krakoan gate that is inside of the X Mansion. But they're not mutants. Yet they're detecting, so they can't get through. But they're detecting that, there's mutant activity on the other side. So, what's going on? So they send this team in to investigate. They go in and they come to find out that the Sidri are in there. Sidri, old school enemy. The most recent that I remember seeing them is in the Nova comic book. It should have been called the Novas comic book, honestly, because it had both Novas in it, Richie Rider and Samuel Alexander. Freaking amazing stories in there. Canceled way too soon. But yeah, anyway, that was the last time that I saw the Sidri. But they're an old school Claremont creation, so, these guys show up and they see that it's the Sidri in there. They wind up getting separated from Cypher at one point, though. Cypher goes to this one, it's mostly their energy source section of the mansion, because you'll find out why they were actually in there. They explain how they were gestating inside there from the last attack, and they go into more detail there. I'm not here to spoil the entire book for you, but honestly, I'd be doing you a favor if I did. Somebody shows up in this book. It turns out it's all because of something. A mutant showed up and was trying to get through the gate, but she wasn't able to because the Sidri attacked her and she went into self-defense mode. I'm not going to actually tell you who it was. It's not a major player, but she could be turned into a major player, and she's one of the relations to Jason Wingard, the original mastermind. I pretty much told you exactly who she is, but still gave you just enough. Well, you can look it up. Honestly, you can just freaking look it up. It's in there, but I'm not here to spoil the entire book. Anyway, Cypher winds up getting separated, and Illyana Rasputin has to go and find him. And while she's out there, something amazing happens. She comes to realize that Warlock is actually still alive. That's not just a techno-organic infection on Cypher's arm. That's actually Warlock. It's like, hello, self-friend Illyana. And I almost went into tears. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yes, he really is back. If you remember a week or two ago, I was speculating that he actually is back because Cyclops walks in one of the X-Men books and sees him there, but then he just disappears and he's back on his arm again and the Krakoan face is gone and there's been this huge thing. And it's like, well, this is odd. And I'm wondering, could this possibly be a peace treaty thing that they're trying to do? Because, technically when you're talking about the Phalanx, or is it something worse? Is Warlock the reason why they always lose? Who knows? Go back and check out that Dawn of X live spoiler review because I get into it. Anyway, in this particular, and I'm going to get a lot more into this in my tonight's Dawn of X review, because I am genuinely pissed off at this book. You could have replaced Nightcrawler with anybody in this book. He's the most useless character in this book. I want you to think about this. Let's really go into detail here. We're talking there are 3 levels of teleportation in this book. There's Nightcrawler, there's Illyana, and there's the Krakoan Gate. The Krakoan Gate has a significant role in this book. Illyana does only one real teleportation in this book, and her teleportation actually leads to something. you could have had anybody replace Nightcrawler, because all the teleportations that he did, completely useless. So you almost could have called this, Giant Size X-Men, the Teleporters, because Nightcrawler really had nothing to do with this book. So this is a big callback to the Giant Size X-Men Jean Grey and Emma Frost book, which literally these two had nothing to do in this book. What was one of the things that people were talking about the most in that book? Me, at the very least, and a bunch of the people afterwards, what were we talking about the most in regards to that book? How about that kiss that Jean Grey planted on Wolverine right in front of Scott? Further fueling the idea that, look, they could be, doing something. Also, they're talking about what happened at the end of the book. Oh, shoot, it looks like Storm is actually infested with some kind of a virus that the children of not the children of the Atom, the children of the Vault wound up doing to her. Holy crap, big deal. What? Literally, Jean Grey and Emma Frost, they were just intermediaries. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, it was pointless. It was pointless calling it that. It should have been called Giant Size X-Men something else, or just make it a different series, or write it into the regular X-Men book, At the end of the day, they really screwed that one up. Guess what? They did the exact same thing with this Giant Size X-Men, because they call it Nightcrawler. This issue is called Giant Size X-Men Nightcrawler. And Nightcrawler is the least important character in the entire book. The Sidri are more important. Everything is more important. Eye-Boy is more freaking important. Lockheed is more freaking important. He provided more of a service than anybody else. Dude, like I'm saying, freaking Captain America could have replaced Nightcrawler in this. I'm not joking when I say that. We could have come through the Krakoan gate. Maybe he was already there trying to investigate what was going on. And, Rachel Summers is running away. Let me throw my shield and make something fall in front of her so that she can't escape that way, so that we can, catch up to her and have a conversation with her. No, instead it's Nightcrawler. And it's like, they didn't even, go on anything from her past or anything like that. And honestly, even when they caught up with her and it turns out it was actually the Sidri, in my mind, I'm thinking, why couldn't they have made it like, the alternate timeline version of Rachel Summers? Because that could have been fun. But no, they just did anything else with it. It's like, of all the characters they could have used, real talk, they screwed this one up in a major way. Mainly by calling it Nightcrawler. After people have been decrying, hey, where's Nightcrawler? We finally get something with Nightcrawler in the X-Men books, and it's a pretty big deal. And I go in, if you saw that two weeks ago, whatever, that I did that live spoiler review for Dawn of X, and I'm literally practically on the spot going into what I would do with a future Nightcrawler story for a half an hour. And people were pretty excited about it. You guys were pretty excited about that. And then I see this story where Nightcrawler is the most useless character in here. But they bait and switched us. They baited us and they switched us. Giant Size X-Men Nightcrawler. Screw you. Nightcrawler is the most replaceable character, the only truly replaceable character in this entire book. It had nothing to do with Nightcrawler whatsoever in any way, shape, or form imaginable. It's completely replaceable. So I'm gonna say this. Look, I'm not here to start bashing anybody personally, because I don't know who's responsible for calling it Giant Size X-Men Nightcrawler. If Jonathan Hickman was, well, he's a jerk for doing this. He's a straight up asshole for doing this, because you don't pull this nonsense. You don't pull this nonsense and get away with it. Hey, everybody likes Milk Duds, right? What about if you bought a box of Goobers and instead you get these things inside? You know what I'm saying? Milk Duds. I'd be pissed. I like Milk Duds. But if I bought Goobers, I expect Goobers. If I bought Raisinets, I expect Raisinets. If I buy freaking whatever, if I buy a box of toothpicks and I open it up and it's, oh my God, it's amazing stuff. But now I still have to go back to the store and buy the toothpicks because I went there for, I don't even use toothpicks, but I'm just giving you an example. I bought something because I expected something to be inside because I needed something. And they literally bait and switched us with this. So books like this only give credence to things like the ComicGate movement. There are bowel movements also. But at the end of the day, I want you to honestly think about the credence that this gives. At the end of the day, I'm pissed off. This was a really good story, but I am genuinely pissed off right now. because I bought this expecting a Nightcrawler book. And even though this was a really good story, I don't get a Nightcrawler book. So why am I comparing this to what ComicGate would do a review for this? Check this out. With ComicGate, they actually buy physical copies of their comic books because they want to rip them or cut them or put them in a freaking toilet bowl, whatever the hell it is that they're doing. They're buying the comic book just to wreck it. This isn't increasing comic book sales. This is hurting comic book sales. Because while you might otherwise go and buy this comic book just to test it out and see what's up with it, if you follow ComicGate, reviewers, you've got these people who are buying this comic book just to do something, just to desecrate the book. You know what I'm saying? And nobody else is going to buy that book. Nobody who watches these reviews are going to be like, oh, I can't wait to go out and buy this comic book. It's literally the anti-comic book channel. That's what these ComicGate, affiliated channels or styled channels are all about. Don't buy comic books. Don't buy these comic books. If your comic book appears on one of the ComicGate channels, they're literally telling the audience, don't buy this comic book. So now, unfortunately, this is me doing the exact same thing as far as these giant-size X-Men books are concerned. But it's not me who's really doing it. It's Hickman. And it's these people involved. Whoever is responsible for making the title of this book Nightcrawler. Whoever's responsible for making the recent one, Jean Grey and Emma Frost. Whoever's responsible for those titles, you just ruined your sales. Because at the end of the day now, us reviewers, I myself specifically, I'm willing to bite the bullet and buy this comic book because I want to know the story in it and I want to relate the story to you guys. But from this point on, all of my giant-sized books that I review are going to be spoiler reviews. Because I don't feel the need for you guys to waste your money. Unless you really want to, unless you really genuinely want to, feel free to go out and buy the books. But I'm going to try and give you these reviews as early as I can because you have to be able to make an informed decision in the books that you make. And you know me. I'm all like, buy the books, physically buy the books. You're going to go digital like I'm stuck doing this week and for the foreseeable future because of the COVID-19 thing. You know me. I like being able to show my book and flip through my book instead of I don't want to scroll through my comic books. I don't want to scroll through my comic books or do reviews. It feels almost impossible to do reviews that way. But I'm stuck doing it because, the pandemic going on. So how do I sit here and propagate a comic book that I don't like? You know what I'm saying? This is usually me not buying the book after a while. I'll drop off of a title, but this isn't a title. This is a fairly integral part for what's going on in the Dawn of X books. You might want to know, where did these guys come from? Hey, how did the gate get perfectly active? Hey, we're going to reference back to at some point, oh yeah, the Sidri opening up the gate in the X-Mansion. Where did that happen? Oh, that happened in giant-size X-Men Nightcrawler. Oh, what did Nightcrawler do in that book? Effing nothing. He did nothing in the book. That sort of thing infuriates me. And I like for my viewers to be informed. So I'm going to continue buying this book. And you know what that generates? One sale. It generates one X-Men book sale. And I will be basically informing you of this in advance so that you can make the decision, which will probably be to not buy this book for at least half the audience, possibly more. Because however good the story is, many people will be buying this book because we've been railing for a Nightcrawler story for a while. Where's Nightcrawler? Where's Nightcrawler? There have been more Joe Biden appearances than Nightcrawler appearances lately. I'm really dating this video right now. Like, Joe Biden went into hiding. Apparently so did freaking Nightcrawler. He's up on a damn mountain staring at a freaking building someplace. And we're so excited for a Nightcrawler story that I went and I made half an hour worth of story time telling you what I would do in a Nightcrawler comic book. All of a sudden, we get a Nightcrawler giant-size X-Men book. It's like, we're going to explore that story. No, we're not. We're going to call it Nightcrawler to bait and switch you. Hey, all you guys who are looking for a Nightcrawler, come and buy the book. Oh, Nightcrawler is completely useless in this book? Sucks to be you. Good story though, right? You literally bait and switched me. Damn it. I bought toothpicks. But no, I didn't, did I? Because you switched what actually happened inside. You slapped a title on something, and then you completely ignored that title because you want to draw me in with that. Okay, so here's the ComicGate effect. I'm going to continue buying this comic book so that you, the viewer, can save your money. And whoever is responsible for calling this giant-size X-Men Nightcrawler, that's the person who's responsible. And if it is the genius storyteller, Jonathan Hickman, who's responsible for that, so be it. It's not a personal attack, it's an observation and calling out a fact. Whoever is responsible for calling this book Nightcrawler, you are a scumbag. Not in your entire life, not in everything that you do, but in this one particular act that you just did. Because this isn't some, oh, they messed up my childhood, they messed up my story, and nonsense that ComicGaters say. No. You bait and switched me. You sold me a product with the promise that this was going to be the product. I get it home, I open it up, God damn it. You lied to me. That's not cool. And that makes you a scumbag for that particular act. The giant-size X-Men books do not deserve to be purchased anymore because they just did it to us twice. You know the idiom. You know the famous English idiom. Screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me. Screw me a third time? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. And I'm going to try and help you guys to make sure that doesn't happen. I promise that when the giant-size X-Men whatever books come out, I will buy them. I'm going to buy them. I'm not a thief. I'm not going to steal them. But I will absolutely buy them, and I will review them as soon as I possibly can for you guys so that you can save your money at the comic book store or online or wherever it is that you were planning on buying it because they're, giant-size X-Men M. Oh, I can't wait. They're going to do something with M. Yeah, I would get excited over that too. And then all of a sudden, M was barely even in this book. They lied to me. Yeah. And they're probably going to continue doing that. So I expect them to fix that. And I expect an apology. I doubt through pride, because a lot of times you're not going to get that. But I genuinely, I'm being honest with you right now. If I'm the guy who's writing this comic book, I'm going to go on Twitter. I'm going to put it in the back of one of these comic books. I'm going to say, listen, so there's some people who've been talking about such and such and such, and you know what? They're right. And I'm humble enough to admit they're right. I apologize. I did such and such, and I expected such and such. The story never got to wherever. Hey, this is the person who was, or somebody was responsible. It wasn't me, or it was me. Take responsibility. If it wasn't you, you don't have to point out who did it, but just simply say it's not going to happen again, because we acknowledge that such and such was wrong. We should not have done a bait and switch. This is literally you screwing with my money at this point. You promised me this. And even if what you gave us was better in your opinion means squat to me, because I still have to go back to the store and buy what I was looking for. And in this particular case, this is almost like selling freaking snake oil to me. This is sad. And this basically look, this is one of those situations, I'm not joking when I say this. If there were real justice in the world, we could simply, make a lawsuit and say, listen, I actually want not the comic book stores. I want whoever put the title on this, I want them, or just Marvel, Disney, whatever in general. I want you all to reimburse me what I paid for this book, taxes and everything. I demand compensation for this book, for this product. Because, hey, if I go and I buy something at the store and it turns out, on a huge scale, but no, there is no huge scale here. It's just a couple of comic book. Let's be realistic. We'd like to think that we're in droves. No, people watch the movies in droves. People read the comic books in small packs. So when push comes to shove, when you've got, hey, here's this comic book that they said such and such. Remember when that Ask Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 6 came out? They had Thor fighting against Angela on the front cover. They even promised it in the previous issue. Thor versus Angela. Thor didn't even show up in the damn comic book. If 10% of the world population was into, or even the country's population, like America's population or Canada's population, was reading this book and they saw this bait and switch, there would be a big enough movement to make a stink that they could have gotten, recompensation. But how many people are really reading this book? How many people are really going to be affected by this? Not enough that, that Marvel has to, make a formal apology, right? It would simply be a case of dignity and honor and self-respect and a little bit of introspection in order to recognize that you just screwed over the already ridiculously small fan base that you've got. You just screwed us over with a bait and switch. Can you tell I'm really pissed off about this? This isn't even self-righteous anger. This is literally, as a man with a business degree with a specialty in marketing, if this was a big product, like a wide-reaching product, I would be advising my people right now, dude, y'all need to lawyer up. If you're not going to apologize for something, you need to lawyer up. But at the end of the day, especially if somebody's going to go and somebody at Marvel is like, imagine if somebody, I'm not going to name any names, but imagine if somebody actually went and made a joke about this. You're literally spitting in the faces of us and saying, you don't matter. Oh, you're one person. No, we're not. And I know in the comments section below, people are going to be talking about it also because they know my audience. And that's just all there is to it. I know the Comic Book University alumni. You don't like being lied to. I don't think anybody likes being lied to. So at the end of the day, I think that it would be very responsible to get an actual apology. Hey, we lied about the title. My bad. We apologize. We're not going to do refunds and things like that, but what we are going to do is we're going to make it up to you by promising from this point forward to not mistitle our books. I think that would be enough for any of us because comic book fans are usually pretty forgiving. But at this point right now, they just made it so that people are going to be second guessing. A lot of people are going to be waiting, and I highly recommend it also to wait for a review. I don't care if it's me or somebody else, wait for a review and really look in it. Is the title of the comic actually going to represent what happens in the comic book? Because if not, maybe I'm not really interested in buying this comic book. Damn shame that they screwed us over with a Nightcrawler, promise of a Nightcrawler story. And it's literally, not only does a Nightcrawler story not happen in this book, but this book might as well not had anything to do with Nightcrawler whatsoever. Damn, that's a shame. I guess we're the dumb ones though, right? Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Oh, don't forget to like the video if you got any value out of this, because it helps to get the video out to a wider audience and to warn more people. Also, I'm just saying, if an ad does show up, you don't need to be a patron. You don't need to send me PayPal money. Just simply allow an ad to play. Watch your next video in a different screen. Please, I'm genuinely asking you, please, if you appreciate what I did, my time, my warnings, the content that I have the ability to provide for you guys, please allow an ad to play all the way through to its end. Mute it. Watch something in your, watch your next video in another screen. Saying, and this way it doesn't cost you anything, and I still get paid, because that's the only way that your favorite YouTubers get paid. I appreciate it. And I'm out now. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.